Si la quería sin reservas yo la amé, pero me olvidó y hoy me pregunto por qué. Ella me decía yo te quiero y tú lo sabes, y si hoy te dejo es por culpa de mis padres. Ella para mí fue lo que siempre pedí a Dios, y yo para ella quizás fui una ilusión. Creo que fue eso y no fue ningún temor, pues nadie separa lo que une un gran amor. Dime por qué me hiciste amarte. Yo te quiero, yo te adoro, y tú te vas, me dejas solo. Aunque no te agrade, quiero que me escuches. Hoy vengo a cantarle a todo el que sufre, al que se arrepiente pues de haber nacido. Dice que la vida no tiene sentido. Quiero que tú sepas que yo a ti te entiendo. Yo sé cómo te sientes el que está sufriendo. Sin embargo nunca pierde la esperanza. Después de la tormenta pues viene la calma. Entonces reirás. Dedicado para la gente de Santiago Rodríguez. Así es el amor, a veces muy triste, tanto que te quise, tú no me quisiste, pero como el árbol, así soy contigo, mi perfume la hacha, aunque lo haya herido, hoy estoy sufriendo, muriendo a martirio, que a pesar de todo, siento un gran alivio, pues todo el que sufre, tiene un gran consuelo, pues de ellos será los reinos del cielo, como dijo Jesús. Con sentimiento de Giovanni Polanco, para ti, mi amor.
Cuando tú lo mueves, trágame tierra.
De un farolito
en tu cintura,
de un farolito,
ombligo de luna,
de un farolito,
en las estrellas,
de un farolito,
trágame tierra. ¡Aprieta!
yo le
Que yo más quisiera que contar contigo estás conmigo. Ya conté hasta 20 y no estás conmigo. Y ese farolito me lleva perdido. Ese farolito me lleva perdido. Anda pronto, negra, que no tengo abrigo. Anda pronto, negra, que no tengo abrigo. Un farolito.
Hola a todos. Okay, so aquí estamos, tenemos a todos. We can show our faces now. We are live. Perfecto, perfecto. Buenas tardes.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Let's see this way on everybody. I have to get on back on the Instagram because I was having some issues. 1 second. Perfecto. Perfecto. Entonces hoy vamos a hablar inglés y español. ¿Ok? Perfecto. Entonces, perfecto. No importa, tenemos a Gabriel, necesito un minuto. Todos estamos bien. Perfecto. Bienvenidos a conversation on anti-blackness in Dominican culture in the US and in Dominican Republic. We have an amazing group of people that are here to help us understand what's going on with our culture. I'm Dominican, I'm Rosalind, I'll be your host today. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Afro-Dominican. I identify as Black first, Dominican second. I believe that my Black experience has a lot more to do with my experience as a human than my nationality, being that I'm an immigrant here in the United States. I want to hear now, I want to give special thanks to the following. Creando Lazos. We have the Creando Lazos interpreter here. We are very thankful for her for interpreting and reaching a larger audience. Las Caras Lindas podcast, we're always supporting the Afro-Latino Caucus of Washington, D.C., Dominican Writers, Brujas of Brooklyn, Liz Acevedo, Latin Entertainment Presents, we're all Dominican. Quinito Mendez, señores, because he reposted us, Vaquero and Black Label. We are going to open with a spoken word by Gabriel Primeres, and that's going to be followed by all of our panelists. They're going to introduce themselves after that. So aquí tenemos los de Gabriel. A ver, aquí lo tenemos. Okay.
On realizing I am black. 1, what the fuck? 2, born American, raised Dominican, found black, found God, found home. 3, you kidding me, right? I mean, don't you eat rice and beans every night? I mean, when was the last time you had some mac and cheese, some collard greens, and some neck bones? You know, speaking Spanish means you're Spanish. This means you're greedy. Would you like some neck bones? Along with the vertebrae of America's hung foundation fathers, ain't that what you wanted? To call African ancestors yours too? Afro-Latino, Taino Indian? Are those drinks you Spanish people get during happy hour? Ha, ain't no happy hour when the hands of your clock are shackled, dragged, baton beaten, bullet hole bleed out countless moments, drowning your existence in alcohol. Try to forget that you were even born to, and you are murdered every 28 hours. It's just another bump from a stranger on the sidewalk. 4, in Boston, I held the elevator door for every racist that I looked better than. I reached into my blazer, they grabbed their bags tighter, my hair grows as an afro. My grandfather would tell me, stop looking like a nigger. I tell him, I'm celebrating the way God made me. My grandfather smiled in the faces of my black friends like he had a lynch mob in his back pocket. His teeth, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment shredded into 36 different pieces of bigotry. 5, my grandfather died as the moon. I am not him. I am black and full of stars. I am not the absence of light. I am who allows light to exist. I am mother. I am Africa. Do not confuse me for hip hop and rap. Those are my fraternal twin grandchildren who always asking for money. You remember Biggie, Pac, Pun, you see stars died and have come home to me. I am not ugly. I am who allows you to be beautiful now. Isn't that the blackest thing you've ever heard? God say.
So, ese es nuestro querido Gabriel Ramírez. We're also going to have in the panel tonight. Yo le voy a dejar a ustedes ahora que se introduzcan. I would like for you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves. We can start with con nuestra querida Patria en inglés o en español. Dinos cómo tú te identificas, por qué estás aquí, what you're going to bring, and what you're looking to take from this panel. Gracias por estar con nosotros, Patria.
Gracias por tenerme aquí. I'm so excited to be here. Gracias por invitarme. Te reconozco, Rosalín, como una hermana desde que te vi. Lo sentí en mi corazón y sabía que teníamos trabajo que hacer, pero trabajo puro y del corazón. So I was excited when you invited me here. Y te puedo decir, mi nombre es Patria, mi nombre verdadero es Patria. Me lo pusieron mi mamá y mi papá. Y cómo me identifico, how I identify has been a journey all its own. Much like you, I identify as Black first and then culturally as Dominican. Y como nací y me crié en Nueva York, hasta eso ha sido questionable, right? So are you really Dominican if you weren't born in DR? Yo tengo 34 años, estoy muy orgullosa de decirlo. Y entonces la experiencia de mi negritud, de ser dominicana, de para mí misma entender lo que es hasta llamarme patria, todas las asociaciones que vienen con esa identidad. It's been a journey that has brought me to this moment. Siento como que todos mis ancestros nos trajeron a este momento en el cual podemos explorar lo que es la negritud individual y también colectivamente. Es una experiencia en Nueva York, es otra experiencia en Dominicana, pero todos somos parte de esta diáspora y es necesario que tengamos esta conversación. Y te digo que tuve un poco de resistencia al empezar con anti-blackness, just even as a term.
Okay.
Porque en los últimos años específicamente lo que he tratado de cultivar en mi propia mente, en mi propia experiencia, es pro-blackness, right? How can I flip this entire storyline that I have certainly been a participant of buying into for a long time? How do I turn that around and experience my blackness on my own terms? Through exploration, through learning, through investigation, through growing, through partnerships, through friendships, through sisterhood, through, loving blackness in many different ways, but really not fixating on the anti, on the against, not in my vessel, right? So being able to separate those things, not existing as anti-blackness being the way that I see blackness. I had to become a manifestation of what it looks like to be pro myself, which is a Black self. So tonight, I would love for us to just explore ways of shifting the narrative, shifting the perspective, not so much fixating, even though there are truths that are really boggling the Black experience, understanding our autonomy to be able to shift perspectives, y que la lucha no es solamente screaming at the top of your lungs. También es mental, es espiritual, es físico, es toda la experiencia de ser negro, lo cual amo. Es mi favorita experiencia, es la que nunca me quito.
Muchas gracias, Patria. I am so pleased to have you here. I connected with you as soon as I saw you too. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It might be spiritual. And I
Yeah.
love what you said because I also was very hesitant with the anti. I'm super pro. Pero también I use the anti because we gotta get people uncomfortable, okay? Like
You gotta call a thing a thing.
we gotta call it out. So I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
gonna bring a lot of positivity and alignment to
Thank
our
you.
panel. Vamos a ir ahora con Manuel Méndez, presidente del Afro Latino Caucus de Washington, D.C. Hi, Manuel, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estamos? Gracias, Rosalín, por invitarme a este panel. Te queremos mucho de este lado. Tú eres como una hermana para nosotros, para mí, Patrice, y una tía para Carmen. Muchas gracias por siempre estar ahí por nosotros. Mi nombre es Manuel Méndez. My name is Manuel Méndez. I was born in Dominican Republic. Soy de la 27 de febrero. Nací en los Guandules, soy capitaleño. Y llegué aquí a los Estados Unidos como a los 8 o 9 años. Y mi experiencia en Washington, D.C. como Chocolate City ha sido diferente a muchas personas, porque hay muchas personas que yo le pregunto cómo ha sido tu experiencia como ser Black Latino, Black Dominican en otros estados, y ha sido totalmente diferente. In Washington, D.C., African Americans have embraced me since I came here. And so I have been that expression of pro Black, being Dominican but pro Black. We definitely agree with Patria that narrative needs to switch from anti to pro Black, because we can't be fixated into lo negativos. Tenemos que describir, tenemos que subrayar how blackness manifests in Dominican culture. Y obviamente me siento mi identidad como africano, como Black Dominican. Otra cosa que puedo decir es que soy presidente de DC Afro Latino Caucus, soy co-host de Caras Lindas Podcast y nuestro nuevo podcast que se llama Negrometraje, que se va a tratar sobre película afro afro de Latinoamérica. No sé qué más tú quieres que hable, porque
Tu presencia aquí en sí es bastante. I'm very, very thankful to Manny and all your family, Manny, and I'm saying this publicly. You've guided me through a lot of my own, not self-discovering or anything like that, but I love when I met you, I told you I've been woke. I'm woke, and you said you've always been woke. So that's something that I love having you in every space that I share with you. It's so important that we know that there are Dominicans out there like us in this panel today, that we are thankful and proud of our Blackness. We're not slave. Me gusta lo que dice Patria mucho. La esclavitud es mental. La liberación empieza, como Bob Marley dice, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, right? So it starts right here. So next we're gonna go with Gabriel Ramirez, my lovely friend and amazing Afro-Latino poet. We open with you today, Gabriel. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody on like the social medias, right? Not to push outside, but like the social medias and like everybody here on the Zoom. I'm doing well. I don't know if you saw me like doing something really quick, but I was eating while my camera was off, and I just set up some lavender oil in this diffuser. So like just getting my spirit right now. I feel like what's been necessary for me as of recently is just focusing on what centers me, and focusing on self-care and what does it look like to care for myself before I am like triggered or hurt or feeling pain, right? Not like, oh, I need to heal because now everything's wrong, but like do the things to like just be like feel taken care of and loved by myself, as we are like social distancing and things like that. Yeah, I identify as Black. It was, you know, being in New York, very wild, right? Whether you're like Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Nicaraguan, whatever, you're just Spanish because you probably can speak Spanish, or where you come from is a Spanish speaking country, right? And then like going to high school and seeing like, you know, darker skinned Dominican students being hateful towards Black students, I'm like, fam, like, you know what I mean? And like, just like trying to be like a voice that some people want to hear more from, only because I'm light skinned, which is goofy as hell, right? So like elevating like voices of Black people, of dark skinned folk, because like, you know, like I'm never like, it doesn't like miss me that like there aren't any like other dark skinned Dominican poets who are like really doing it like that, right? Except for like my brother Julian Randall, right, who's also like, you know what I mean, Chicago, DC homie, and things like that. But yeah, growing up, like I would always see like people being like, what I didn't know was anti-Black, just like rude as hell and like hateful towards like Black folk. And like I remember there was even like a little race war in middle school, right? Like, and I fought with the Black kids because I'm like, y'all are really wilding. Like, y'all are not about to come at all my homies like this. Like, Edward, like, fuck out of here. Like, you know? So, yeah, just thankful to be here. Thankful just to be in community with other Dominican people who are talking about, who aren't only talking about anti-Blackness, right, but talking about being pro-Black and like loving ourselves. So like, you know, I feel like we are becoming part of an imagination that other generations did not have, right? Where dark skin can be beautiful, where, you know, men can be like soft and feminine, and you know, that we can love every part of ourselves, right? Instead of being like, oh, like you know, you're cool, you're cool, you're exotic, you're cool, you know what I mean? Like, now we're here. What's good? So yeah.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your life. I love you. I know everybody else in here feels like that too. Vamos a ver con Edward. Edward Áviles es un human rights advocate. Porque yo sé que tú pusiste, Edward, que tú te estás graduándote, pero ya yo te veo a ti como lo mejor de lo mejor. So thank you for being here. Talk to us about yourself, tu experiencia, how you identify yourself. Pro or anti, solamente una introducción para relajarnos.
Ok, bueno, siempre pro, nunca anti, pero yo quiero dar las gracias a ti, Rosalind. Yo me recuerdo conociéndote a ti a los National Student Dominican Conference con Johanna. Siempre me sorprende que nada más te veo sola aquí, porque siempre cuando tú estás en un lugar, siempre veo Johanna, entonces vienen en dos. Entonces estoy bien agradecido que me invitaste a esta discusión que vamos a tener. Y yo me identifico como Black y después Dominican. Y eso es lo que yo primero tenía que aprender, a entender qué es lo que significa Black, cómo se refiere aquí en los Estados Unidos. Yo nací en la Romana, República Dominicana, y vine aquí a los Estados Unidos a los 7 años, en Georgia. Siempre cuando yo les digo a mis amigos los dominicanos que yo no tengo familiares aquí en Nueva York, siempre se sorprenden. Dice, ¿qué? ¿Tú eres dominicano? Like, you know, like, yes, my family immigrated to Georgia, okay? All my Dominicans are in Georgia, okay? I'm the first Dominican of my family in New York. So it's definitely a privilege to hold that title. I began to learn about my Blackness especially coming to the US, porque there's like a cloud of, or maybe a blurriness of Blackness, how it's used here in the US and how it is in Dominican Republic. So for me, I didn't really understand what that meant, because when you're in Dominican Republic, cuando estoy en Dominicana, you know, no me importa tu nacionalidad, like, oh, tú eres dominicano, o si tú eres haitiano, o puertorriqueño, da 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 da. Pero when you come to the US, I felt como ni que you black, you dije, bueno, eso no sé tanto, pero I guess, porque es obvio que, you know, por mi raza, mi color y mi complexión, que si era moreno. Entonces me tomó un tiempo para acostumbrarme a entender cómo es que ese tipo de lenguaje o de identidad se usa aquí en los Estados Unidos. Entonces ya, you know, vine a la universidad y aprendí de eso, todo eso, and I went to National Dominican Conference. Y, you know, me informé más sobre qué significa el color. Entonces, yo vengo hoy aquí, me quise estar parte de esta discusión para aprender más y para también expresar mi experiencia como un hombre negro en Estados Unidos, un hombre dominicano, navegando estas plataformas como mi identidad. Y otra vez estoy muy agradecido por estar aquí en el día de hoy y hablar con, you know, this rainbow of people. Y quería, so yeah.
Thank you for being here, Edward. Yes, you're such an amazing leader. I love the fact that we met long ago. Johanna was supposed to be in this panel, but she's going to be in the next one because she's doing something. But yeah, siempre junta. Vamos a ver ahora con mi querido Andrés. I'm not going to say your last name right. Dualita. Y a Andrés Dualita yo lo conocí en Latin Presents Entertainment en un panel que hicimos. And you just intrigued me when you said, that's before, I'm going to say this before you introduce yourself. He said something to me that touched me because I educate 98% of African-American students. And I remember when my brother was coming here, he was coming here to play baseball. And a lot of my students, my African-American students, they want to make it in the baseball field, in the football field. So it's so interesting that, like Edward says, like as a Black man navigating the United States, oftentimes people think that sports is their only way out. So aquí tenemos Andrés Dualita. Preséntate, the platform is yours. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for inviting me. So, mi nombre es Andrés. My real last name is Rivera, but I go by Dualita as un apodo que me puse, and it comes from my fraternity. And I pledged in 2012 back in that day, and I was always battling with myself about what side I was and my different aspects of myself, and whether I was Spanish or Black or American or Dominican, and fun versus serious and stuff like that. So that name Dualita means duality, and I think it encompasses me very well. But yeah, I'm here to talk about being Dominican and being Black at the same time, and how that affects me. I think while I was pledging, it was when I really learned about being my history and being Dominican, and all of the different facets that come together being siendo Dominicano. And it really started to open my eyes and really got me to like dig more into my history and learning of the issues between the Haitians and the Dominican, and the history of Haiti and how that played a part in the Dominican Republic, and all of that coming together. And so that's kind of what I want to bring here, and want to continue to learn and meet different people that think like me, and really look at this conversation and really open up some eyes by people looking at us and seeing the different ways you can be Dominican, that it isn't just the people que vemos la novela, and Latino on top of that, because specifically looking at like Telemundo and Univision, and I worked at Telemundo back in the day, what they portray as a Latino versus my experience and who I am. So a little bit more information. I grew up in the Bronx, live in Yonkers now. And yeah, it's kind of where I come from.
Okay, well, thank you for being here again. Thank you so much, all of you guys, for being here with us. We're gonna dive right in. We're gonna start talking about confronting the anti-Blackness in Dominican culture. So it's not a question, it's just out there. So how do we, well, it is, how do we confront anti-Blackness? I guess by doing panels like this, but what's one way that you guys been confronting anti-Blackness in your Dominican communities or in your Latinos communities, right? Because oftentimes, I know like Edward, I migrated to New York first, but then I was sent to Harrisonburg, Virginia, the countryside. And it was not a lot of Black Latinos, let alone a lot of Dominicans. So I remember being in high school and making sure everybody knew that yo hablo español, pero yo soy negra. Okay, period. Yo hago cross country, pero yo soy negra y también soy negra hispana. So conmigo yo siempre me anuncié. I'm a very loud and dramatic person, so you're gonna know who I am as soon as I step into the room. The table was not made for me when I was in college, but I created a table for myself and I created my own chairs. So I like to know, and that's one way I've confronted my Blackness. And by that, I mean, like, I grew up with parents that they put so much love into me, but they never spoke to me about race. My parents are Black Dominicans in the Dominican Republic. They had us as kids. They did not know what the hell was going against them when they were raising me and my siblings, because they were not in the United States, so they didn't get that. They just thought, así es la vida en República Dominicana, you know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's also systematic over there. So one way that I confront my Blackness is by, not confront, but I confront the anti-Blackness within our community, is by being loud and proud about it, because I feel like what we don't speak about, we don't heal from, and we don't evolve from, because I'm looking to evolve. I'm an educator. So voy a ver con mi querida Patria. Dime, Patria, how do we confront the anti-Blackness?
Bueno, mi amor, así como tú, yo tengo esta boca de jarro. Y por esta boca yo he soltado, muchacha, que no había taxi que yo no me montara que no era discutiendo con un taxista dominicano. And discutiendo para nosotros, nuestra cultura, es algo común. No es necesariamente que estamos en un pleito, pero la discusión, el discurso, nosotros tenemos la política en la sangre. Y cuando constantemente uno está en este tipo de conversación, sometimes your heat is not very discerned. So you're not really shifting a narrative. You're just talking at each other. Que tú oyes la discusión y el discurso que en realidad no tiene progreso, no tiene espacio para que una persona se sienta diferente. Entonces, por mucho tiempo, I felt like that was my place. Está en discurso y en discusión con la gente, cuando en realidad lo que me tocaba era escuchar. And it's an interesting way to confront anti-Blackness, but that's because I had to confront the anti-Blackness that was inside of me. Even telling you that the name of the panel is a trigger. So yo tengo que ver cómo es que se siente eso por dentro de mí. It's constantly being triggered. That Blackness is being triggered. And if the first thing that I do is abrir la boca and start arguing, screaming, sometimes that's necessary heat. Pero a veces también el calor, uno tiene que encerrarlo un poquito y entender cómo es que se está manifestando en tu propio cuerpo. Porque lo que tú vas a hacer con ese mismo pique es gritar por este lado, por aquí. A lot of times we're just not heard when we are, you know, not discerning that kind of information, right? Because solamente con really knowledge and information, ¿verdad? Cuando miramos la historia, como yo creo que fue Dualita que estaba diciendo que no conocer la historia dominicana y de Haití, that's a big, big, big part of our cultural heritage, of our ancestral heritage, that not only needs to be healed, but it needs to be exposed. Eso es un pus que nosotros tenemos que se está pudriendo por dentro, que en realidad necesita mucho aire. Y primero eso viene con el conocimiento de la historia, pero no todo es, ponerse on a bullhorn and be very expressive. Yo tuve que aprender esa a la mala. So también through my journey, understanding that sometimes it's time to scream, sometimes it's time to protest, todo eso, especially living in New York. Yo viví en Nueva York mi vida entera, nacida y criada en Manhattan y viviendo en el Bronx. And we just have that hot-headed, tempered energy. So cuando te digo discusiones con tacitas, discusiones en un restaurante, el que diga algo antinegro, tú me entiendes, de una vez yo estoy adelante, ready para el pleito. Pero eso no me estaba ayudando a mí en mi proceso. Y coming to the South and just even taking a step, taking a breath from that kind of energy. Y yo misma estudiando cuál es mi propia historia personal, investigando con mi propia familia, cuáles son, what is our bloodline and what is it really about. Porque mi abuela, gracias a Dios, va a tener 100 años en estos días, como quien dice. Ella está cerca de un siglo de vida. Y solamente pensar en su experiencia de hace, vamos a decir, 95 años atrás y la que yo estoy existiendo ahora. And when my friend Gabriel is talking about, what we put into, what storyline we add now, that's our Afrofuturism. Nosotros estamos en este momento creando esa posibilidad, ese futuro de lo que puede ser la experiencia dominicana, que todo... Con lo viejo ya yo no puedo, no viejo, de ofender, pero con los niños, con nuestra juventud, tenemos una responsabilidad demasiado grande. Because, okay, there's a lot of us who are saying, we've woken up to some truths. Okay, entonces coja ese cartón y póngase a informar la juventud y cambie esa historia y póngale un cartón nuevo, ponga un libro de historia nuevo. Y esa es nuestra responsabilidad, through movies, through art, through culture, but we got to put it out, just discerned heat. If our kids just see us screaming all the time at the top of our lungs, exhausted, no pudiendo tener la energía de en realidad cargar la inteligencia colectiva hacia adelante, hacia otro futuro. Entonces lo que estamos haciendo es gatándonos. So a lot of my anti-Blackness practice is practicing this new way of being where it's not just always la lucha y el sacrificio y que todo, it's exhaustive. Porque even when I say it, yo siento una incomodidad. So para mí, I really had to shift. And sometimes you do catch that fire. And sometimes all you do want to do is, be infuriated. And that's a very natural and appropriate response to the systematic ways in which anti-Blackness shows up. Pero cuando es de tú a tú, cuando es de persona a persona, cuando tú, which happens a lot of the time in Black bodies, the anti-Blackness just happens en la bodega, en el taxi, con tu familia. Diablo, pero tú sí te aprieta. How does that feel in my body? Just really receiving and understanding that. No me dijeron que, ¿qué fue lo que me dijeron? Que estoy negra. Soy negra, aquí estoy, bella, so a lot of that, again, this is like gonna always be a theme for me, pero cómo es que uno está combatiendo el antirracismo en su propio cuerpo y saber cuál es el tiempo de en realidad be projecting and be out there. What's the time to be teaching? What's the time to be silent? What's the time to listen? Was the time to go to your ancestors for answers that are not in the flesh. Todo eso son procesos de combatir. Y entonces, of course, systematic. The fight against systematic anti-Blackness is a much more concrete thing that we need to attack actively and that we need to organize around. And that's where organizing not just conversations, but organizing the methods in which we are going to combat that systematic racism. That's like another leg to it. So.
But thank you so much, Patria. I truly appreciate that because I feel like the Dominican Republic, when I was growing up, I wanted to be the president of Dominican Republic as a child, but I said, I don't know. Let me go somewhere else and educate myself to figure out something. But I think that lo que estamos viendo aquí en Estados Unidos, lo vamos a ver en República Dominicana en 5 años. Con toda esa revolución, toda esa gente entendiendo lo que está pasando, because it's our land, la isla de los taínos y de los negros. Okay? So I'm gonna go with Edward.
Gracias, mi amor.
Gracias a ti, querida. Edward, entonces dime tú, how are we confronting anti-Blackness in our communities, within our families? It all starts within our communities and our families. How's it going with you?
That is true. I mean, it's definitely, I like the question because it's very provocative. I think that there is no black and white answer to this. I think the only way for us to really truly understand the nuances is to really understand the questions and questioning ourselves constantly. One thing too that I wanted to bring up is that, you know, confronting anti-Blackness or this, like, are we going to be talking about it in the U.S. perspective or in the Dominican perspective? I mean, in Dominican Republic perspective, because a lot of times we mix in U.S. I guess racial conflict with the DR racial conflicts. So in the DR, you know, the racial conflict is more with Haitianos and Dominicans, and in the U.S. it's more like black and white, because like even if you're Dominican and in the U.S., you know, you're still seen as black. You know, there is no in between. You know, so that's something that I just want to see if we can clarify between the two. One way that I try to, I guess, tackle anti-Blackness is by educating myself. I don't like to really be. I'm completely opposite to Patria, que ya tú sabes, tú estás bien activa y no, yo escucho, yo soy una persona así bien que escucha, analizo y después te mando un mensaje a las 2 de la mañana. But I like to listen, and I, you know, try to question why are they thinking like that. I know that when we talk about anti-Blackness, for the Dominican culture, we're more referring to colorism. And colorismo, como todo mundo sabes, you know, like preference over like lighter skin over darker skin. And so that's why we have like some of the problems with the Dominican hair salon. We got Sammy Sosa, and you know, all of these type of I guess preference to lighter skin. And when we talk about, I guess, Blackness in the U.S., I mean, if we talk about Blackness in Dominican culture, it's seen all throughout the board, not just in the U.S., but in the Dominican Republic. Entonces, what I try to do is just like educate myself about like what are the narratives, where is it coming from, and you know, instead of going in and trying to convince everybody, you know, like, hey, you know, this is wrong. You just try to convince one person, you know, because you can't bear the burden of educating. You know, people ignorance. You can't put yourself out there like that all the time. So like, just try to educate yourself. Like I educated myself. Did my whole thesis on Dominican Republic with Haitian people in the market in La Romana, and I learned a lot of things of how actually Haitians and Dominican do get along, and it's not as a narrative that is being pushed about Dominicans and Haitians always being at each other's throat. So, you know, with this type of, I don't know, I guess foundation of, I don't know, wokeness or awareness, you know, you can, you know, educate yourself and dismantling or unlearning a lot of things that we were taught were one way, but are actually the other. So I feel that, you know, to, I guess, counter or the way that I have tackled anti-Blackness is by educating myself and educating the people that I can that are next to me or my families or friends.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it all starts from within, and please share your thesis. That sounds so interesting. Mi abuela de La Romana. That's so crazy. Vamos a ir ahora con Gabriel Ramírez. Gabriel Ramírez, how are you confronting the anti-Blackness sentiments in our communities? I don't know if you have it in your family, in your, how is it manifesting?
Yeah, we can start with family. So my mind is gone like 1,000 different places just listening to everyone. So hyped to be here. So I think something that I focus on a lot, as also a poet, being like not just like it's like being what I do and like who I am, right? Like I don't really got a lot of novels, you know what I mean? These are all poetry books. Like there's a lot more books on that shelf because they just be like that, you know what I mean, while small. But I think a lot about language, right? And the way you know, growing up, y'all haven't heard me speak Spanish, right? I'm not fluent in Spanish, like I'm not even finna try, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like also like me not being able to speak Spanish in no way negates my Latinidad, right? You know what I mean? It was like more so like my family laughed when I got something wrong rather than teach me. And even today, they'd be like, we don't know how you ain't become fluent. We all fluent. I'm like, cause y'all are jerks. Like, you know what I mean? Like y'all didn't like, you know what I mean? Whatever. Not even gonna drag them right now. Nah. So I think about how people use language and weaponize language, right? And how you know, a lot of derogatory terms towards dark-skinned people in Spanish or in Dominican culture have been normalized and desensitized in so many ways to where you can say pretty much like the worst possible thing about a dark-skinned person and people will be like, yeah. And like nobody bat an eye. And that's just regular conversation, you know? So one way that I combat anti-Blackness within my family is like checking my family on their language. You know what I mean? Like, you know, where, you know, somebody is talking about somebody, right? And they're like, oh, son morenito pero tan chévere. I'm like, what? What does that have to do with anything? Like, why'd you say that? Like, but also knowing why they said it, right? But posing the question and just starting the conversation, right? And then, you know, as like Black Lives Matter began around 2014, 2015, you know, family members who are darker than me laughing or making jokes about Black Lives Matter when it comes to me, like, oh, don't mention so-and-so because they'll get upset, talking about me at like a Thanksgiving dinner table, right? So where we're all supposed to be like together, these like notions of anti-Blackness are like separating us, right? And, you know, now having family members like get on the right track when it comes to it, I'm like, word, where were y'all? Where were y'all when I was doing this, right? Like it's on TV now, so you heard it, you know what I mean? Things like that. So just thinking about how so much of anti-Blackness is also a language thing, right? And also like anything, also like forms of, I guess, like propaganda, right? And how like people associate and how people make their associations towards Blackness, right? Because I love what Edouard. I love what Edouard said, because you know there's like I'm sorry, like I said, my mind's going 1,000 different places. So the association, Blackness. Oh, how you know, like, you know, some people like are anti-Black because they are anti-Haitian, right? And like, you know, because racism is like a whole different situation than colorism, right? But they're like so close together, right? And like colorism, where racism is like an inside outside all around thing, colorism a lot for me comes from within, right? How people, and racism, right, are like how people are taught things, how people grow up in the environments, right? Like Claudia Rankine, who is a poet who wrote the book Citizen, talks a lot about the white imagination, right? How like a white police officer can stop somebody, right? But won't kill them because they see their nephew, their brother, their sibling, their loved one, right? But that same white person has no proximity towards Black people. So they take what the media gives them and the books they've read and all these things where they say Black people are animals, are criminals, are less than human, da 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 da, and all these things. So that totally like influences how like white people engage in like, so that's what I'm saying. Racism is like a whole other thing, right? And so with like colorism being like, you know, how people can separate themselves from themselves and their loved ones and their like the people on the same island that they're from, right? Like the Dominican Republic, right? So I'm also an educator. So like when I'm teaching poetry, like I make it a point to teach Black poets, Black living poets, right? Also queer poets, Black queer poets, right? And you know, using different ways to like bring to light the entire the humanity that people are stripped away from because of like societal norms and racism, and how, you know, I'll be talking to my students, I'm like, I won't ever look at my student like, unless they're absolutely wild, like I won't be like, you're a racist, right? Like, why do you think like that? You know, like let them go on a journey themselves to discover their answers, right? Because unless these kinds of thoughts and beliefs aren't challenged, they'll continue and they'll spread and they'll be normalized and it'll just like get worse, point blank, right? So yeah.
Thank you, Gabriel. I really appreciate
like
it.
look inward and to like do that investigation for themselves, and how, like Edward said, like when you and patri, because you said it's like es patri, so I don't know if I say patri or es patri, right?
Patria.
Patria, right? So thank you so much. I'll never get it wrong again, right? So how patria said, like it's about doing that internal work and then like having that work be done on the inside and how that work goes outward from there.
Perfect. Muchas
Otherwise it's performative. Otherwise it's just acting.
I love how it's going from, I started with how we confronted in our community to is inside, family, then community. So I love where this is going. Vamos a escuchar ahora de nuestro querido Manuel Méndez, del Afro Latino Caucus. How, dime, Manny, the confronting the anti-Blackness. Activist, she's an Afro Dominican in Washington, D.C. So dino entonces, ¿cómo tú ves el sentimiento de anti-Blackness en Washington, D.C.?
No te estoy escuchando bien, no sé si tú me estás escuchando.
No, we hear you perfectly. We hear you perfectly. Solo
pero dame la, ¿qué es lo que tú estabas diciendo?
Confronting anti-Blackness in our communities. How do we confront the anti-Blackness sentiment? I was sharing you have a very interesting perspective and experience, in my opinion, because you work closely with a lot of leaders in Washington, D.C. that are Afro descendants and also Latinos. So how have you seen that manifest itself in this area?
De mi parte personal ha sido, yo creo que Patria lo ha she has summarized cómo nosotros debemos de confrontar y cómo es personal, ¿no? Pero de mi parte, personally, it's been a journey. It's been a long journey of confronting family members, confronting the community, and lo que me da energía es esta negación que ellos tienen. Pero también the other coin is, también me inspiro de personas como tú, personas hay un grupito en Washington DC que sí entiende los problemas de los afrodominicanos, de los afrodominicanos, de los afrolatinos, la diáspora, pero de parte de los dominicanos, su anti-blackness me da mucha energía, porque me da, en vez de, instead of like isolating myself and staying silent, I kind of like organize more. You know, we do a lot of panels in DC. We do a lot of educational work in DC, to talk about, you know, Afro-Latinos and the contributions of Afro-Latinos, in particularly Dominican Latinos como Casilda Luna. No sé si tú mencionaste a Casilda Luna, que es una revolucionaria dominicana, Black Dominican, pero la cosa que nosotros trabajamos de este lado en Washington, D.C., es el lado de la negación, ¿no? De cómo nos niegan espacio, y ese es el espacio que me da más energía a mí. Nosotros tenemos problemas, sí, de racismo, de clasismo, de fascismo, pero a nosotros que tenemos conciencia, eso nos debe de dar mucha energía para organizar.
Yeah, pero gracias. No, eso es lo que estamos hablando de confronting. So, thank you for sharing. We're going to move para Andrés Dualita. I'm saying that we're going from confronting anti-Blackness in our community to starting from within, right? So what is, I love how Patria started with that, and it became a theme throughout the conversation, because that's the reality. We even see it here in the United States. You have so many Black folks who are professional Black folks that they really have an issue with being Black, whether they're Dominican, American, whatever. That sentiment of anti-Blackness is so internalized, so deeply internalized in our communities, and it's time to dismantle it, because we cannot keep going. Vamos a seguir con Andrés Dualita. Duality.
Sí.
Confronting anti-Blackness. Talk to me.
Yo siento como que siempre me están dejando de último. So nunca puedo decir mi palabra como ustedes, pero no. I'm just teasing. But it's everybody said. Patricia started off great, saying it's not just about like going out there and being super loud and saying everything that you feel, because it is tiring. It's so like, that's so much work. I'm really focused right now on like focusing on my energy and how I deal with my own internalized racisms and how I look at myself. I'm big on right now on like therapy and how that is so helpful to me to talk about all the experiences that I've had, and really dealing with that internal conflicts of myself, the toxic masculinities, the colorism, the way we talk and look about ourselves. And then it goes to what Edward said, like educating yourself and really learning. I'm super proud that I was able to have an opportunity to graduate high school and I went to Syracuse University, and I'm super proud of that. And I like speak about that as many times as I can possibly can, to realize that like I was educated and learned a bunch of different things. I went to business school and learned like the business aspect, but I also learned a lot about Latin America and like how that came to be, and within my fraternity, learning about Simón Bolívar and Francisco Miranda and toda esa gente that, you know, played a huge part in the liberation of Latin America, and learning, getting that information to then talk to people and challenge people, like Gabe said, challenging different family members and talking about how they talk to one another. One of the biggest things right now, yo tengo mami harta de todo lo que yo le digo, everything that we talk about, she's like, yo, is this racist? Is that racist? I'm like, yeah, that is. Yeah, we should look at how we talk about this. Yeah, that there's a little bit of this. The way that we talk about hair in particular, pelo bueno versus pelo malo. What is bad about having curly hair? I think one of the most beautiful things about our culture is having different kinds of curls and the texture of our hair, and like that's beautiful to me. I don't want to. I don't look at going to the salon y desrizándose el pelo 20 veces and like damaging your hair. That's terrible for our culture and for our hairs, and challenging that aspect to one another. Another experience that I had just recently, last weekend, I went up to Saratoga, rented an Airbnb, and was having a great time with a bunch of friends, playing hip hop, playing reggaeton and all of that. And someone called the cops on us. And I was talking to my mom about how that is a terrible thing to do. Like, I'm with everything that's going on in this Black Lives Matter and these things with the cops and all of this different aspects that are happening, how calling the cops can be traumatizing. Like, I literally wasn't doing anything. They called the cops because, as you guys see, I'm smoking hookah, and they thought that my hookah was a bong, and that they thought that the neighbors across from me, with their Trump sign 2020 and all that, but we can deal with politics later. They thought that because they'd never seen a hookah before, they never did this or that, instead of coming over to talk to me and talk and like, what is that? What is happening? Blah, blah, blah. They thought the best idea was to call the cops. And I was just like, ma, like, esta gente vinieron y me estaban hablando de esto y lo otro. And I was just like, that is so draining for me to have an afternoon at 4 o'clock, like just hanging out with my friends, for them to call the cops, and then me having to deal with them. Cuando tenía un par de bebidas, and gracias a Dios nada pasó and everything was fine because we weren't doing anything. But at the end of the day, that is a terrible experience right now. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not in a place where I'm used to, and like, that is a fucked up experience. And she couldn't understand that if you're not doing anything wrong, calling the cops is just, and dealing with the cops is not a great experience. And so I am constantly challenging her in the way that she thinks, and taking that and again putting it into the youth, like Patricia said, and educating as many people as I can, getting in front of as many people as I can, and sharing my experience, sharing my successes. One more story for you guys is that I work in the music industry. I work for Vivo, and I'm part of their sales team. And one thing that we're always talking about is brand safety, right? Advertisers never want to be a part of something that is super graphic or things like that. And so everyone's mind automatically goes to hip hop, right? Hip hop is very explicit. Hip hop is very this, that, and the third, but it's just something that you're not comfortable with. And just because it's explicit, there's a difference between This Is America, a music video like that, versus Bitch Better Have My Money. Have you ever seen that video? They have literally, Rihanna is putting somebody in a trunk and killing somebody, and like it's very bloody and very graphic. That is not brand safe. But something like This Is America, where it's challenging the way music, the way the culture is in America, shouldn't be considered in the same platform, and shouldn't be stay away from. So I'm always challenging my coworkers and people around me to think further than just something that they don't understand. To really dig deep and challenge advertisers to run against that and monetize that content. So it's being as present and showing myself as much as I possibly can. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with me and who I am. It's showing all of that culture and the different aspects of myself.
Thank you for
and
sharing.
being present.
Yes.
Oh, and Ms. Lake, I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania as well. So there are Dominicans out there. So.
No, Harrisonburg.
Oh.
Country. Cuidado, but I got you. But I'm so sorry about that experience that you had. And it's something that is so interesting to me. And this is to all of my Dominicans que están en República Dominicana. Señora, cuando estamos aquí, we are black. Somos gente negra.
Como negra.
Experience is black. Y los haitianos y los dominicanos aquí son compatriotas porque nos vemos en la calle y nos saludamos sin problema. So I love what Edward was saying about your thesis, que los dominicanos y los haitianos se llevan. Like, esta conversación de que estamos tratando de matarnos, no, that's not true. Eso es el nacionalismo, and we're going to get into that. Porque I made a post a few weeks ago on my Facebook que decía, nationalism, a lot of people are using nationalism in Dominican Republic and in the United States to hide their racism. So I want to see, like, if you guys just want to wave into that, whoever wants to go first, what do you think about that? Race, a lot of, how have you seen people using nationalism to hide their racism? I don't know who wants to go. I've seen it. I did an interview with Ana Belique last week. She did not last week, a few weeks ago, and it got me very overwhelmed because she did George Floyd, una celebración de George Floyd en República Dominicana, you know, de su vida. And they went and arrested homegirl. And my thing is, esas son gente que son ultranacionalistas, right? ¿Por qué tiene que ser that? Why do you have to be so nationalist that you have to be so anti-Black? And I see that not only in the Dominican Republic, but I also see it here as well with Make America Great Again. ¿Por qué tiene que ser siempre que es a national sentiment? And then also another thing I'm going to add, and I'm going to let you guys figure out. El primero que se salga de silencio, el que va. I'm going to share this real quick. I really feel like sometimes here in the United States, people forget that, and in the Dominican Republic too, because es la misma cosa. Our country's economies were made en el trabajo de los negros y en el trabajo y en la muerte y en los asesinatos de todos los indígenas. Every country in the Western Hemisphere has benefited so heavily from the deaths of so many indigenous and taking the habitats of so many indigenous people, and by kidnapping, because I don't even call our ancestors slaves, like I'm erasing that, by kidnapping our ancestors and bringing them here and having them work. So why are you so proud of that? So I don't know quién quiere hablar. Yo puedo seguir hablando. Anybody wants to weigh in? Let's see, nationalism behind escondiéndose. Or you can share a project that you're on. Dime, Edward, algo, si no, porque no.
Ay, Edward, vamos a pelear.
No soy boquera. So you go, girl,
No.
I'm right here.
Edward se quejó de que lo estaban dejando. No, fue André que se quejó de que lo estaban
Sí.
dejando de último. Te voy a dar el paso.
Oh, yeah.
Está bien. No, eso voy primero. Yo voy a decir, it's really funny. I think I was just talking to my dad about this right before I started this conversation about how los dominicanos y los haitianos tienen problemas de hace mucho tiempo, and it comes from France took over Haiti, Spain took over the Dominican Republic side of the island. Haitians got their independence from France first, and then liberated the Dominican Republic side from Spain and occupied the entire island and had a 22-year occupation. Haiti did over the Dominican Republic, and then DR got their independence in 1861, if I'm not mistaken. And then over the course of a couple years, they were always trying to push against that Haitian 1844, excuse me. They were always trying to push against that that part of their history, and people have used now that nationality and really screaming that that pride in the Dominican Republic to now be racist against the Haitians. They have these issues of going back and forth to the time of Trujillo, where Trujillo used that to climb to power and really push that narrative of like pushing against Haitians, and the easiest thing to divide people about was the colorism. The Haitians are darker and didn't want anything to do with that. So I think that in anything that you do, if you ever do anything too much, my mom is like super religious. I have that argument with her about all the time, Evangelica. And I don't know if she's watching this, so I could get in trouble after this. But anything that you do, in my opinion, is if you do it too much and to an extent, can be damaging. Whether it's in the Dominican Republic against Haitians, in the United States against U.S. pride, like you have to be able to criticize your own country, your own people, your own family members, yourself, if you want to continue to grow and get better, and really push yourself to a different level. So that nationalism is just really dangerous to me and the way I see it.
Thank you for sharing. Tu mamá, ojalá que tu mamá haya visto para ver qué pasa.
Van a dar una pela.
Patria, I know you were unmuted beforehand, so I want to know, si tú quieres hablarme de nationalism and racism.
Bueno, lo primero que me sale, porque mi nombre significa madre, tierra, our motherland, entonces al ser un símbolo que desde chiquita está en nuestra bandera, ¿verdad? Dios, patria, libertad. Yo tratando de entender en sí lo que es la patria. La patria, cuando hablan, en realidad están hablando de la tierra. Y la tierra es una isla que, como tú dijiste, hubieron personas que vinieron de otra tierra, que sí era su tierra, y that displacement, finding yourself on new land, y aún teniendo la circunstancia que tenían, esa se convirtió en su tierra, en la cual le producieron sus hijos, la cual cultivaron, la cual quisieron muchísimo, por la cual pelearon en los dos lados de aquella tierra. Se peleó por su patria. Y cuando estamos hablando del nacionalismo, antes de haber una nación llamada Haití, llamada República Dominicana, en realidad estamos hablando de la tierra, de la preservación y de comprender que aquellas personas que están viniendo aquí diciendo vamos a sacarle todo lo que se le puede sacar a la gente, a la tierra, a todo, no están comprendiendo que esa exploitation, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo se me escapa esa palabra? Que no es en realidad la forma del ser humano tratar a la tierra, a la patria, ¿verdad? Si uno le tiene un amor, yo le tengo muchísimo amor a la dominicanidad, pero no al nacionalismo que dice que tenemos que estar en contra de todo aquello que, bueno, en realidad, ahí es que la cosa se complica, porque ahí es que entró una agenda, ¿verdad? Hablamos de Trujillo. Eso fue un plan, y lo más difícil de ver las relaciones que tienen que ver con nacionalismo es ver cómo ese plan todavía vive. Aunque mucha de la gente que lo escribieron, que se lo inventaron, murieron, cuando yo veo una persona que está tan patriota, tan nacional, yo veo esa agenda y siento ese espíritu de Trujillo y de los trujillistas y de esa época y de esa era. Eso fue una programación americana, porque los intereses americanos son que se preserve la esclavitud, que se preserve esa explotación de la tierra. Entonces, él solamente en realidad era un muñeco para esa agenda. Y cada vez que nosotros la perpetuamos como dominicanos, como negro, blanco, de cualquier herencia que usted exista, usted está perpetuando una agenda que no es suya y que no es para su gente. but I do see it as a type of brainwashing, a kind of takeover, que como dijo el amigo, que eso le da como una energía to fight against it. Y pena me da que esté el nacionalismo, el patriotismo y lo de ser dominicano, sometimes como que demasiado mezclado junto, because amar a tu patria, amar la tierra, amar ser dominicano, no tiene que estar mezclado con todas estas otras cosas. Yo estoy de acuerdo que deberían haber órdenes, leyes, una estructura para el sistema y para nuestra cultura. La preservación de la cultura es súper importante. Yo sé que también eso es bien importante para la gente haitiana. Ellos también quieren preservar su cultura. No estamos hablando de mezclar una gente y que no haya, no, son dos culturas. Son una inmensidad de cultura en una tierra. Y poder honrar eso quiere decir que necesitamos sistemas, instituciones, programas, educación para la gente, para que la gente sepa cómo preservar su patria, cómo cultivar la tierra, cómo preservar el arte y cómo también honrar el arte de nuestro vecino. Porque al que le guste o al que no le guste, esa tierra es la misma, es una sola. Entonces se complica la cosa cuando estamos sirviendo una agenda que pasa aquí también en los Estados Unidos. We serve this agenda. That anti-Blackness rhetoric serves an agenda that was written, you know, sometimes hundreds of years ago, and you can see the intricacy of the system. It was very intentional, very deliberate, but I firmly believe that we can counter that intention and that deliberateness with the shift, right? The shift in mindset. Pero es súper difícil ver ese nacionalismo y como tú dices, que has that, que tapa el racismo. Yo no creo que lo tapa, yo creo que cuando la gente está dispuesta a actuar de ese sitio violento, a ejercer la violencia, no solamente como hablan, pero que si internet bullies, la violencia de la policía, la violencia con la inmigración haitiana, cuando tú estás dispuesto a eso, tú no estás tapando nada. Te estás moviendo para lo que eres y ya tú te declaraste que tú estás en contra de el progreso en realidad, de nuestra patria colectiva. Porque el plan es ascender, no es hundirnos todo y morirnos todo y que esto se acabe, porque eso es lo que estamos haciendo con la propia tierra. Estamos acabando con todo, con ese espíritu, con esa preservación de algo tan, cuando conocemos en realidad lo que hizo esa dictadura, algo tan horrible. Yo no sé cuántos de nosotros tenemos padres que vivieron bajo el régimen de Trujillo, pero todavía yo puedo sentir that repression que tiene mi mamá, que aunque viven su vida, tú me entiendes, saliéndose de eso, es algo que uno carga con uno. Yeah. Y la dictadura es algo que afectó nuestra patria bastante. Y que ese nacionalismo nació de ahí. Claro que tiene su historia mucho más profunda, pero sí nació de ahí. Y no sé cómo, no siempre sé cómo es que vamos a cambiar de ahí, but I have to believe, I have to be able to imagine that we can shift from that and start to create these new agendas, these new structures that actually serve our island, our real motherland, the entirety of it.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that brings me to sort of type of our last point. And that's how do we change our narrative? Porque yo no sé ustedes, pero yo cuando me retire, yo me quiero retirar para mi playa, para allá, para República Dominicana. Yo no me voy a quedar aquí en el frío, pero yo quiero regresar a República Dominicana. I want to move back to the DR as an older person and be proud. Not that I'm not, I love what you said, like you celebrate Patria Dominicanidad, right? Pero yo tengo mucho cuidado con lo de la dominicanidad, porque hay muchos dominicanos que, como muchos políticos americanos, son crooked, right? We have the same things that you see in the American system. We have it in the DR. We're just like a smaller version. And then with us, it gets really complicated because then you have the race aspect, but it's not really race like Edward says. in our Dominican culture is really colorism, because what a lot of Dominican politicians want people to believe abroad is that Dominicans themselves have an issue with Haitians, when that's really not the reality. So I want to move on, so we can, not closing, pero no quiero tomar mucho tiempo. How are we going to be changing these narratives in our families, in our communities? What projects are you guys doing, and how is it that you are changing this narrative, not for todo Dominicano, but like I remember how we started with confronting our Blackness within ourselves so we can flourish in the outer spaces that we touch. Podemos empezar con Gabriel y vamos a ir Gabriel, Manuel, Andrés, Patria y Edward, ¿ok? Ok, podemos empezar con nuestro querido Gabriel.
I'm thankful that we aren't closing, so I get to do this. Just like really quick, what time is it? All right, so we've been here for almost about like an hour and a half or so. And we've had this incredible ASL interpreter rocking for us. Yeah. So can we do like an ASL applause for them? Wow. Wait, what does squad look like in ASL? Squad.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, squad. All right. So that can be like gang, right? Like gang, like gang. Word. Thank you so much. You're so incredible. I just love watching ASL interpreters because like I did learn like the alphabet and how to spell things. Also, because I also always talk about flowers in my poems. And so I talk about blooming a lot, and I learned that like this is blooming.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, swag. So a few things I think is super important. I dropped it in our chat here on Zoom, and like I'll find the links to the Facebook Live and I'll share there. It's a film that my friend made, my brother. His name is Sage Love. He's a Brooklyn-based Haitian filmmaker. And he made a film called Haiti, The Awakening. And I'm just gonna read the review that I wrote for it really quick. Haiti, The Awakening is a testimony to the resilience, strength, and beauty of Haiti, a reminder of the island's history and its potential for a future full of growth. The ceremony of at Boyce Cayman started the revolution, and Haiti, The Awakening carries revolutionary energy like an ancestral heirloom. This award-winning documentary has the ability to shift the attention of the African diaspora back to the root and home of African liberation, with the original score full of African drums, flutes, and conch shells, along with the scenic shots of nature, clouds, and hillside views of Haiti. You can't help but believe there has to be more than suffering and poverty to such a powerful and beautiful island. Educational, invigorating, and grounding, Haiti, The Awakening is what we need to remind ourselves that amidst adversity and struggle, we have survived the unsurvivable. And when we support each other, nothing can keep us from glory, right? So.
Okay. Ooh.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Something like your boy, you know what I mean? But for real, and it's literally like 25 minutes. It's literally like 25 minutes or so. And it like really can, like, I feel like remind not just Dominicans, but everybody of the Caribbean, South America, North America, like how much strength there is that we carry ancestrally, how much beauty that we carry ancestrally and genetically and historically that has purposely been kept from us, right? Because when you can take away someone's spirituality, someone's name, someone's land, someone's family, and you say, here's all this white stuff, here's all this European stuff, they're thankful to take it. right? They're like, oh, something that can be mine, something I can have back. When really, niggas is settling. Like, you know what I mean? When we really tap into like our true power, right? Our own like our actual spirituality, right? Our actual history, our facts. What do we need all this other shit that does not serve us? What do we need it for? Nothing, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like, you know, there's plenty of things that like I'm like remembering that I wanted to bring up, like Patria saying like, you know, like you feel it in your body, right? Like when you're when you hear anti-blackness, when like you're say like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know about y'all, right? But you know what I mean? Some people, like I was in a workshop with Tracy Morris, who is an incredible Black woman poet out of East New York, Brooklyn. And Tracy led a workshop where she asked us, all the writers in the room, when you experience racism, right, in America, right? It was a Cave Canem workshop, and Cave Canem is an organization dedicated to elevating and lifting up Black poets, right? Where do you feel racism in your body when you experience it, right? Some people are like, my stomach, because it makes me feel sick. Some people are like, my head, so I get a headache, right? And I was like, my arms, because I want to hit somebody, right? Like, you know what I mean? So we meditated on like those parts of our bodies, right? We like literally stopped, closed our eyes, meditated on that particular part of our bodies, and we wrote. And then at the end of the workshop, Tracy had mentioned to us, like, isn't that something? How racism takes up space in our literal bodies. Right? So I feel like when we talk about what do we do now, right? I think it's a particular kind of like renovation, right? A particular kind of decolonizing, a particular kind of de-gentrifying our own bodies of like whiteness, Eurocentrism, and like all the things that keep us from our actual African roots, our actual indigenous roots, right? Because like, just like something that came up right now, right? Talking about like US history, like something that I learned randomly, right? But never forgot was that there were Native Americans, right? Here in America, and they would show white people where to go, right? Because they knew the land, they knew where to go. They knew how to navigate the woods, the trees, everything. They never got lost. And then they cut off their hair to assimilate them. And they did not know and did not remember anything. Right? So it's also a physical cutting off, right? That can happen to a person. It's an internal cutting off that someone can learn to do to themselves that like keeps them from like their true essence, their true beauty, their true power, right? And also talking like, I know we wanted to move on, but like also talking about nationalism, right? It's like, there's a Christopher Columbus statue, right? In Santiago or something like that. I'm pretty sure there are other parts of the island, right? Yeah. And it's also, right? So there's a Christopher Columbus statue, right? In the center, right? Of the island, right? That's somewhere, right? And then, you know what I mean? There's like, I saw this in like documentary Black in Latin America, and I'm sure there's plenty of commentary and like thoughts about that documentary. But you know what I mean? It shows how there are white American founding fathers, founding murderers and vultures and thieves, right? That are praised in these white statues, right? And then you go to Haiti or Haiti, its original name, right? It is Black statues of Black leaders, right? And also like when we talk about like when Dominican Independence Day comes up, I have a shared status on my Facebook that I always share every year. And it's like, cool, happy Dominican Independence Day, y'all. Also remember, we wouldn't know what independence was if it wasn't for Africans and Haitians and the Haitian Revolution. Let's not forget that. Thank you, right? You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I think it's about also like I'm about to break my arm trying to show y'all, but I have I can't even see my screen. I was too busy looking at all y'all beautiful folks, right? I have a Sankofa tattoo, right? And I have like other Adinkra symbols like tatted on me, right? And essentially thinking about the Sankofa symbol. For those who don't know, the principle is looking at your past, right, and making your future better, right? Like the symbol is a bird taking an egg off of its back, right? So we have to think about, we really have to look at history for what it is, right? All of it, right? Call the thing call the thing what it is, right? And think about what the roots of that are and where we want to go, right? And not just, oh, let's forget about it, because forgetting is how it comes back, right? Forgetting is how it comes back in different ways that we don't recognize it, right? So let's remember what was done to our ancestors, right? And where we come from. Let's think about where we are now, and then let's think about what kind of world do we want for future generations, whether they're our children or not, right? Where we can live in a world that is just, as in justified, right? That is just, and like returning to the root of humanity, right? Where we can see each other, right? People say like namaste, whatever, right? But namaste means like the peace in me recognizes the peace in you, right? So let's get back to the human in me recognizes the human in you. The love in me recognizes the love in you, right? And like, you know, not just be stuck to one thing that can liberate us, but imagine all the different things that can liberate us, and then share that with each other. And in that way, within like Blackness and the African diaspora, that's how it gets stronger. That's how our magic gets stronger and wider. And let's just make it something that people cannot neglect. Like it'll become impossible to neglect everything that we are when we say everything that we are and use what we have to get what we need. I love y'all very, very much. I'm done talking. Okay, bye.
No, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. That was deep and it connected us all back to it. Manuel Mendez, entonces, dime a ver, where do we go from here? How do we change our narrative? You do a lot of work in the DC community, in the DMV community for real, because there's not a lot of people talking about Afro-Dominicans or Afro-Latino, and if they do, it's because it's a hashtag and because it's trendy. So I applaud you for always advocating for the Afro-Latino community, whether it trends on Telemundo, Univision or not. So how do we go from here in our community?
Well, for our spaces, in particular the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and that's the only places I can talk about, is basically for us to come out of like this invincibility space and to organize, resist. You know, white Latinos and their supporters, and create spaces for Black Latinos in our community so that they can, blossom, uplift. One of the missions of DC Afro Latino Caucus and Caras Lindas and Negro Metrajes is to, uplift Black women, Black Latina women, and put them first, put them up front. You know what I'm saying? Instead of bringing, it's a way for me to fight, patriarchy, and to place Black Latino women up front. So that's one of our goals. Another of our goals is, to correct history in our communities. A lot of the times in this area, when we think about the Latino community, we only think about Central Americans, and so wherever the Latino spaces are, we want to have Afro Latinos in the forefront. And so I've been fighting a lot in terms of policy, in terms of organizations, national, local organizations, to have Black Latinos in their staff, Black Latinos and they're bored, Black Latinos, you know, teaching and being in the midst of white Latinos. So that's another goal of ours. And we're in a special place here in the nation's capital. We have access to, you know, all the embassies and different institutions. So advocacy for our brothers and sisters in Latin America is another one. So, you know, my work it's very broad, but very intentional. Por eso que yo digo que, you know, it infuriates me, but it also, that energy, I take that energy and I want to, you know, organize people, organize things so that, you know, change can be created, not only in the DMV area, but also, you know, where we come from, Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia, Panamá, todos esos países donde están la negrura, nosotros queremos ese cambio y lo podemos hacer de este lado. Sabemos que del lado latinoamericano hay muchas, like there's a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of, you know, porque sabemos, hay una cosa que nosotros sabemos aquí en los Estados Unidos, que when you're that radical in Latin America, there's a price, and that price is death, you know. And so we have the benefit to speak out, and we need to be doing it more collectively. We need to be doing it más juntos, and I challenge all of you guys que conocen el problema de la República Dominicana to uplift Dominican leaders, Black Dominican leaders that are, you know, fighting against this thing, and we need to do it collectively to uplift them and to say you are our voice, you are one of our voices, and we'll support you on what you're doing. Y esa es la otra parte, the other coin of the conversation, que nosotros hablamos mucho del anti-blackness de los dominicanos, pero no hablamos the manifestation of blackness in Dominican Republic y cómo lo celebramos, cuáles son esas historias para celebrarla. Eso es lo que nosotros nos tenemos que enfocar. Tenemos que enfocar no del anti, sino las historias, la gente, los personajes, las mujeres que han luchado por nosotros. Y ahí lo dejo. Pero por último, también hay que decir una cosa y subrayar en highlight que hay una élite en la República Dominicana que pelea por la división entre la gente de nuestro color. You know, y esa es parte de que se manifiesta en la parte nacionalista. You know, que hay gente que le dan dinero, pero es por la élite que quiere la división. Y cuando no se benefician ellos económicamente de los haitianos, o también hay una élite en Haití que se beneficia de los servicios de la República Dominicana, porque hay dos élites, y tenemos que entender eso, que hay un mercado en un servicio, un export and import between both nations, porque es mejor traer los pollos de República Dominicana que ir a otro, yo no sé, Estados Unidos, o hay servicios en Haití que los dominicanos explotan, que nosotros tenemos que identificar y que subrayar y ponerlo eso vivo, que hay una élite, no son los de abajo. Como dijo un compañero ahí, que lo de abajo, hay muchas maneras como los dominicanos juntos en diferentes batallas, en diferentes comunidades, viven en conjunto, en comunidades, y viven bien felices. Pero hay una élite, que eso hay que subrayarlo. Pero perdón por hablar tanto.
No, está bien. Está perfecto. And I completely agree with you. That's something that I'm using all of my panels and putting them on my YouTube channel so I can educate my students on. My kids are most of them are Afro descendants here in Southeast DC. And I want them to connect to all of the Afro diaspora, you know, we're everywhere. I want them to see, them at a global level. We're raising global citizens, and that's really the reality. So I completely agree with them, Annie. Vamos entonces a ir, voy a ir con Andrés y después voy a ir con Edward. porque no quiero problemas, Edward, está bien. Pero antes de ir con Andrés, quiero darle un shout out, no un shout out, pero un agradecimiento de nuevo a Creando Lazos, creo que te dije sí, ¿verdad? Que they provided us with an amazing ASL interpreter. Ella está interpretando español, inglés, Spanglish, Dominica. So just know that we truly appreciate you for sharing this space with us and for communicating what it is that we're trying to communicate today. Entonces vamos a ir ahora con Andrés para no tener problemas. Gracias.
Yo, you guys, you took my teasing, you took it seriously, but I appreciate it. Lo que yo voy a decir es que yo creo que debemos usar nuestro talento. So, para darte un chin de la historia de cómo yo llegué a ese mensaje, que me personally, I struggle with a lot of like imposter syndrome. I struggle with feeling like wherever I am, I shouldn't be here. Yo lo veo todito ustedes aquí mismo, sintiendo como que ustedes son super inteligentes. Gabe is like super great with his words, and his poetry to start us off was so dope. Patricia is like one of like, she just, I was just
Patria.
like, Patria, disculpa. Tú ves, yo hablando aquí me echa mi bolche, tú ves, ya, yo me voy a callar, yo no voy a decir nada. No, Patria tan inteligente, tan outspoken and so well spoken. And Miss Lake, you got us all together. Edward, incredible way of speaking. Manuel, you out here in DC doing everything that you can to push us forward. And I sit here and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? ¿Qué yo hago aquí? ¿Qué yo traigo a la mesa? What do I bring to the table? And I have to constantly remind myself, like, no, I have experiences that can help push this narrative forward and can help push this along. And so that's something that I'm working with every fucking day. So it might not be, somebody watching this might be like, yo, I can't be in this panel and I cannot understand it. And I debate that your experiences are useful and can be spoken to this, but maybe it isn't. Maybe you're just not comfortable speaking in front of people, and you're really great at like researching and providing information and sharing things. You have a platform where you have 200,000 followers on Instagram or something like that, that you can share, or you make fucking great sandwiches and you want to fucking provide that sandwiches for protesters and give something out. Whatever it is that you can do, take that and add to this fight, because there's a bunch of different avenues where you can contribute to. It doesn't necessarily just be a talking and being in front of people and being that like rah a leader, emotional speaker or whatever like that. And I also, like Manuel said, providing a space for women and Black women to speak. I think that's so important. I think using whatever privileges that we do have to help and provide space for others that don't have that privilege, I think is super important. Me as a man, I recognize my privilege and especially amongst Latinos. That's a whole separate conversation that we can get into. But that is something that I am aware of, and I always am trying to find spaces where I can encourage, especially Black women, to speak up and have their points be made felt important. So I think that's all. I think that's the biggest thing that we can do here is just like realize what talents you have, realize the gifts that que Dios te dio, and put that in the focus and put that in this fight. I think there's a bunch of different it's steps that we're taking to continue to advance our culture and advance this conversation, and we have to keep fighting and not get tired. Protect yourself and protect your energy and do what you need to take care of yourself first, but then see what you can do for others and keep that fight forward and keep this conversation going.
Andrés!
No fue el último. Edward, háblanos por favor de ti, and then we'll close out in the same order. Share your context and share your thesis, please, okay, con nosotros. So go ahead, Edward. How do we change the narrative? How do we move forward?
Wow, I mean, it's hard to follow up with like all this amazing like speeches and like things that people were saying. I would just like to quickly touch on Andres that that transparency that you just said about for the that itself adds to this conversation and furthers this type of changing the narrative that this panel is supposed to do. Like we're not going to be following the same old narrative from the past that tells us that we are one thing. We have to understand that there are nuances to it, and I really appreciate you being transparent. Something too that I was thinking as I came onto this, so I really resonate with that. So, being the last to say something is really daunting because you really have to pay attention to what everyone is saying and make sure you at least do some type of summary of sorts. So I'll do my best. So I guess I would like to start with something that Patria.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Don't fuck that up. Don't fuck that up.
Yeah, you can. That's one thing. If we're gonna learn from this panel, it's Patria. Like that's it.
¿Qué te digo, mi amor?
Ya tú sabes. So, something that she said in the beginning, que la política la tenemos en la sangre, and thought about this throughout this whole conversation. And I think it's really important, and if we are going to change the narrative, or if we are working towards changing the narrative, that we understand what is truly affecting the Dominican culture, if it's either in the U.S. or in the Dominican Republic. I think one of the main things, or two of the main things, is starts with the family. And I know we don't talk a lot about like father absentee, but that is a big impact to the children, to the new generation, or to the culture. How can we progress? If the basic structure of our beginnings are not in place. A lot of Dominicanos le dicen lo mantenido, y que no cuidan su muchacho, y no más bien Estados Unidos, todo eso. So we have to really be transparent that, we have to also make sure that we are aware that, it starts in the family, literally, and Obama even said that, father absentee, people are most likely to not finish college, get a degree, or end up in jail just because they come from a broken family. I mean, luckily, there are a few. Madres luchadora. I come from a single parent household, and I've accomplished a lot of things through her efforts and in our community. So, not to say, yeah, shout out, mom.
Yeah.
But not to say that exceptions are possible. Another thing too that we need to keep in mind is about the history to which we come from. Something that I also like to keep in mind, and with Gabriel's comment about the statue of Christopher Columbus, and I believe they usually have it in the main city. So Santo Domingo definitely is like one of those main spots. Is that I always like this quote from the guy who said, I don't know the guy's name, but the quote is like, "Those who don't learn from history are doomed to condemn it." So if we are talking about like changing this narrative right now, and then someone later on in the future, try to erase what we're talking about, then, there's never going to be a post about how we were trying to eradicate or maybe ratify what was taught to us. And what was tough for us, I think somebody said, I think Patria said, programizado. It was programmed into us from generations, from generations to generations. After the Trujillo dictatorship, all of that type of anti-Haitianism or anti-Blackness wasn't just gone when he was assassinated. It was transferred over to Balaguer's period. And it's not even about the government being transferring the power to the government, but it was, transferred to the schools, the media, the education. So a lot of the things that were transferred over, it's really rooted into the culture. And, you know, so we have to really understand to undo those type of, I guess, learnings or systems, that we have to understand where they came from and why they came from. Another thing that I think will help change the narrative, like Manuel Mendez was saying, I don't know why I said your whole name, but I said it anyway. Manuel, he was saying policies. Yeah, if you guys are not registered to vote, going on here, you know, like we have to really be proactive to put people in place in power that align with our agenda or our values. If we see people that are not progressing what we stand for, then why are we, you know, voting for them, or maybe not voting, which is even worse. And also, as Manuel said, like including more spaces for Black Latinos to be present and visible. And to remember also that something that I always like to remember is that Latinos, you know, we are all one. We share that same culture, that similarity, those like salsa, those, you know, all of those sazon, goja. We go to the supermarket, we pick up the goja sazon. You know, that's it. Let's see, what else? So I'm trying to think about a lot of things. And
you're doing great.
And yeah, and another thing too, like I said in the beginning, we have to really understand that to be Dominican is different from being a Dominican in the U.S. and a Dominican in the Dominican Republic. Something that Rosaline said before was not in this conversation, but like the whole phrase "ni de aquí ni de allá," you know, like that's something that is really hard to, I guess, maintain, because you know we as Dominicans are living here in the United States and facing these, I guess, this type of identity politics of our own Blackness as we are in the U.S. And then, you know, when we go to the DR, we're facing another type of identity politics that more caters to colorism. So there's really a hard split between the two on how we can do that and still be true to ourselves, you know? So that's something that I wanted to just put out there, that, you know, being Black, it's very exhausting. I don't know if you guys feel it, but it's very exhausting, especially if you're like Latino, because we're carrying both like minorities. We're both Latino and Black. You know, people have trouble understanding this, but I don't know what's so complicated. You know? Honestly, so it's like we have to remember to take care of ourselves. I know someone mentioned, I think it was Andres, about how fatiguing it can be. Like we have to take care of our mental health. Like we can't just be the point of contact to people to explain or share our experiences, because that can cause harm to ourselves. We are trying to be good, trying to do good, but then that good can then become, I guess, self-inflicted or bad. So we have to remember that when we are tackling these big ideas and these big questions, that our mental health is in the right state of mind, so that way we don't, you know, transfer that type of, I guess, energy to the other people. So with that, that's it, man.
Bien, está perfecto. No recogiste.
Sí, señor.
Yeah.
Estamos bien. Thank you for that. Manny had to go, but I'll share his information. I want you to say it. Can you say it? We want our ASL interpreter to share. I'm going to say it for you. She's there in her chat that she's a proud Dominican too. Great panel. We are so happy to have had you interpret for us. Ella es dominicana como nosotros, así entonces como vamos a darle un aplauso.
Hey.
This is so cute. I love that. I want to thank you guys for taking the time on this Friday. Yo no celebro mucho los 4 de julio, pero mañana, tú sabes, para el holiday, para mañana, to take your time and speak to me, just to have this nice conversation. I'll drop the video on YouTube, and I'll also share, if you guys want to share out really quick where people can find you to connect with you, because I'm sure in the future panels on Dominican and Blackness, how Blackness is celebrated in our culture, because we're gonna have some of the same faces coming through again. I'm doing all of this to educate my students. So I'm very thankful and honored to have had you guys. I'll share mine is really quick because he had to run. He says the DC Afro Latino Caucus of Washington, D.C. Lo pueden encontrar en Facebook, en Twitter. Y Las Caras Lindas Podcast, you can find it on Instagram. Mine is Rosalinda Miana, but you know, I'm broadcasting, so it's fine. I don't want the attention. Edward, dime de tu Instagram donde te podemos encontrar.
Tú sabes, at Dr._Aviles. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Eduardo Aviles Mercedes. And yeah, that's it. Gang, gang.
Doctor, okay, period. Vamos a ver entonces, Gabriel, yo veo que tú tienes el tuyo ahí puesto, but I want you to share it out.
Wow. Doctor, mad casual. Like P.H.D?
Un doctorcito ahí para usted.
Mad casual, mad lax.
Complex.
Complex, right? God bless you. Bless you. Thank you for your research and your studies, Edouard, and, you know, making it happen. And, you know, like, you know what I mean? Showing motherfuckers they can also do it too. You know what I mean? Thank you. So my social media handles are at Ramirez Poet. Also self-built, you know what I mean, ramirezpoet.com. I'll be having my work, like I'm gonna be making a page for like poems that you can read, but on the website there are videos of performances, stuff like that. Yeah, again, yo, thank y'all so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with y'all. Forever in my hearts. Every single one of y'all, forever in my hearts. This was so incredible. Thank you, Rosalind, for hosting us and putting this all together. I just feel wow honored and blessed, and like something about today was the best day out of this week. And I know for sure it was definitely y'all. Like I probably woke up this morning, but didn't know it, but it was this, you know what I mean?
Somos primos, somos primos, estamos primos, tú sabes.
Sure.
Ahí, entonces, vamos a ver con Andrés. And then mi querida Patria.
Yeah, so thank you guys for having me. Ms. Lake, you know, it's been ever since we met, you know, it's been love. Thank you for including me on all of this. One thing I do want to say before I'll say my handles and stuff like that, I don't think any of us said it, but I think it was clear in our voices and how we talked about it. I am proud to be Dominican. I love our culture. I love bachata. I love merengue. I love mofongo, mangú, salami, los tres golpes, all of that shit. I am so fucking proud to be Dominican, and everywhere I go, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs that I am Dominican. But with that, I am also Black. So I love learning more about my culture and connecting with different people within our culture and different experiences. So thank you guys for allowing us to do that. On the side, I also am I work in ad sales and all of that stuff, but on the side I'm a host. I'm the guy, if you go to a club and be like, if you're having a good time, make some motherfucking noise, that's me. So my Instagram handle, which is the one I use the most, is PTM_Dualita, DUALITA. The PTA stands for Pass the Mic. So thank you again for all of this. Facebook, you can find me as Andres Dualita, as you see on the screen. So thank you again. And yeah, que viva la República Dominicana.
Exacto, nos vamos a cambiar por una mejor dominicana. Entonces, Patria, starting with the land, I really appreciated you starting us with that. How do we find you on social media? If you want to be found. O tú estás en silencio, you muted.
Ok. Yo no iba a decir nada, pero como Dualita se llegó a quejar, yo no hablé en la ronda antes.
Habla,
Es que no te
dile
puedo
tuyo.
soltar, es que no te puedo soltar. Yo estoy
Tú
para
ves,
ti.
tú solo dominicano, tú ves cómo tú eres.
Así es que somos, así es la cosa, olvídate, ya estamos, ya ese sazón está cocinado. I just want to share the sentiment de el tremendo orgullo. Nosotros hablamos sobre muchos aspectos de ser dominicano, de la negritud en la dominicanidad. Y eso es uno de los temas más difíciles sobre nuestra cultura. Pero ha sido el privilegio de mi vida y ha sido el gozo de mi vida estos últimos años that I've leaned more and more into it, because it's really not about separating from my Dominicanness. It's about going deeper, about not taking that surface experience of what we've been told being Dominican is about and how it is intertwined with being anti-Black, right? So, como yo tengo un hijo que ahora está entrando en más conocimiento, yo tengo un orgullo profundo de que él pueda verme ahora, tener la experiencia de una mamá súper orgullosa y que está usando su experiencia, que a veces ha sido negativa o a veces ha sido difícil, or, you know, experiences that you have to navigate in a Black body, and come to an understanding and pave your own way, que él me esté viendo así, con mi cabello, tú me entiendes, y con mi vaina todo montada, y ahora yo estoy como dice, pero Patria está súper negra. Escríbanlo, ¿me entiendes? Y no se equivoquen. Entonces, just that existence and that pride, que mi hijo y los niños alrededor, o cualquiera que esté alrededor y pueda verlo, pueda tener esta experiencia. También cambiar cómo yo existo con la cultura haitiana. Comer comida haitiana, conocer gente haitiana, tener una proximidad, porque eso fue lo que me dio más conocimiento a mí. No solamente leerlo en un libro o ver un documental. Conocer el arte, just be more proximate, because for a very, very long time, my experience was very close and proximate to whiteness. And then at some point I was like, this ain't serving me. You know, I have to shift and I have to be about who I really am. So transformar nuestra experiencia to be more proximate to our Blackness also serves us coming closer to ourselves, to the real root of what being Dominican is about. Y eso oye, Dios le echó un tremendo sazón a esa islita y nosotros no podemos negar eso en ningún momento, you know. Entonces, what I found even in the last year, has been que cada vez que yo tengo una idea, really look to produce these ideas through art, whether it is participating in a panel or any way. Como André dijo, we all have something really special to add to this sauce, and not being taken over by that fear or that imposter syndrome. Believe that cuando te llegó a la mente, te llegó al corazón, dale para adelante y sigue con eso, con fe, que tus intenciones son puras y que it is for the growth and for the future of our identity, of our Black identity, of our Dominican identity all over the world, porque estamos en toda parte. No hay sitio donde no aparece un dominicano. And, you know, they're paving their way of what it is to be Dominican there, whether they're in a Black body or in a, you know, mixed heritage body. Como yo estoy en una negra y ahora yo decidí mudarme de Nueva York, I have to decide, what does it look like to be, what does it feel like, what does it look like, what are my choices, you know, what is my son gonna watch me do? Not just lean into fear and into all this anti, pero ponerme pro, and to fill those gaps with art, with culture, with knowledge, with friendships, with cuando hay ni que sea 3 mujeres negras en un sitio, ya tú sabes, ahí estamos curándote lo que tú tienes, averiguándote todo lo tanto, just to see how we can alchemize that Black experience and make something amazing out of it. You know, we are producers, we are birth givers. And I appreciate that every man on this panel said, you know, that needs to be elevated, because I firmly believe that. But in the meantime, you know, harnessing what it is that you're going to bring to the table. Yes, alchemize. Hello. We in the chat también.
The chat lit.
But being...
¿Le fue la voz?
¿Se fue? Ay, ella está hablando todavía. Padre, Se te fue el sonido. Oh, oh.
We can't hear you.
Do you? Okay, let's see. Let me tell her. Patria. Oh, she's still can't hear you. There we go. Thank you. No sé.
Tampoco.
Yo creo que tienen problema, Patria, con el mute.
Your AirPod?
It's the AirPod. I think it's the AirPods, maybe.
Yeah, I think your AirPods might have died or something.
Look at the feds. Look at the ops trying to silence Black women. That's crazy.
That's crazy, bro.
We see you, Zoom. We see you, Zoom.
Señor. So, Patria, a mí me borraron de unos cuantos grupos de Facebook también. So, yo no estoy muy, no sé, yo creo que lo que dice André de los ops, tú sabes, yo estoy por ahí también. So, Patria, thank you so much. We were really trying to hear you because we felt the energy coming through when you were speaking. But I'm going to go ahead and close. What does our ASL interpreter want to share? Would you like to share anything before we go?
No mucho, solo quiero decir que yo les quiero agradecer por la oportunidad de estar en este espacio con todos ustedes y que yo me siento muy feliz y orgullosa y nunca he experimentado un grupo de dominicanos juntos hablando de lo que es ser negro, lo que es tener orgullo y amor para nuestra herencia. So, gracias. I'm so happy today.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Almost made me emotional. I love that.
I love you. I'm so thankful for you guys. It's 9:04. This is the longest panel we've had, and I'm just thankful for each and every one of you. Manuel had to go. But I'm loving the fact that we were able to get to the ugly part and address the ugly part because it's about to get on and popping because Dominicans do celebrate their Blackness because we, the Black Dominicans, are very proud to be Black Dominicans, okay? Black and Dominican, don't get it twisted. And we are going to heal, educate, and change ourselves, our communities, and our policies aquí y en Estados Unidos. Gracias a todos. Bueno, aquí en República Dominicana, porque no estoy allá. Pero gracias a todos. Amor y paz. Thank you. We will be contacting each other soon. Adiós.
Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes. Amor y paz.